Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Bill Jennings. I'm a broker owner, a real estate instructor. I've been in the business 25 years, and the goal here is a win-win. We want to talk about enjoying life, having fun, and making money. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll tell you what we're not going to talk about, and that is my March Madness bracket. I'm sure yours is busted too, so you know what? Let's talk a little real estate. Not going to edit this. We're going to be raw, uncut as always. So here we go. Today's topic is game film or actually video per se. And what am I referring to? Football, basketball. In the world of sports, we know coaches and teams watch game video or game film. So I'm going to call it film even though it may be video. Okay, fair enough? So they watch video, and for what reason? To get better. They watch the opponents to see what they're going to do to anticipate how they can best strategize offensively, defensively. And they watch themselves to see if each player is performing at their peak performance, whether the line is blocking, whether they're running the offense correctly, what can they do better? And then I think about real estate. And I think, it's kind of too bad. It's kind of too bad that we can't walk into a listing presentation, and say, hey, thanks for having me. By the way, here's my cameraman, and he's going to film us for this presentation. Is that okay with you? Or let's say you're showing some property and you've got your cameraman following you around, and they're going to be looking kind of awkward. All right, fair enough to say it'd be a little awkward. However, it's too bad that we can't video ourselves when we do that, and this is why it's important. So let's start with this. I'm going to start with an analogy. If you were, let's say it's the middle of summer, and you had all of the components of a house delivered to you, and we're going to say we have perfect weather. So this is a hypothetical situation. You have all the materials. You have the lumber, the roofing, the windows, the doors, the paint, the flooring, the cabinets, everything you need, and you had to build this house. And let's say you also had the knowledge. Could you efficiently put it together? And you had all the tools of the trade, you had the machinery. Could you pull it off? Could you build this house? Let's say you got to hire 4 or 5 people. Let's just assume that they're unskilled at the moment. Could you put it together? Could you do it efficiently? Do you think somebody else, a crew that's done this, a home builder that's been doing this for 20 years, could do this more effectively, more efficiently, and get it done more precisely? I think we'd say yes. Of course they could. We'd hope so. All right, we hope so. So what's the point? The analogy is that person that's been doing it for 20 years, they know how to do, they know all the tricks of the trade, they know the tools of the trade, they know the timing, they're able to deliver the product. So you as a real estate agent, let's say you're in a listing presentation, are you able to deliver the product? Now remember, the product is you. You are the product. Recently I heard one of the national real estate coaches say that we're not in the sales business, say we are in the sales business. And I've always thwarted that, and I've always said, I don't know that we are in the sales business, and sales is a great thing, but I think we're more in the counseling, advising, and more of an advisory role with a little bit of sales. And as I think about that, it's important that we deliver the message that we deliver in a very trustworthy, believable way. Because if it's not believable, you're wasting your time. So you get into a listing presentation. If you could only watch and video yourself, record what it is that you're doing, what you're doing with your hands, just like now. I'm going to go back and watch this. And next time I make a video, I might say, hey, Bill, don't do that with your hands. Or, hey, don't lean forward, whatever it may be. And I'm going to evaluate. And it's too bad we can't do that, because when we get into a listing presentation, I think most of us know what to say. I think we know the language to use, but I don't know that everyone is good at delivering the message. I don't know that everyone is good at exuding confidence. I don't know that everyone is saying it in a way that's trustworthy and believable. And it could be nonverbal. And I've heard numbers upwards of 70% of communication is nonverbal. Fair enough. Point being, a lot of your communication and our communication is nonverbal, right? So I think it's important that we deliver the message and we get good at it. So what am I talking about today? I'm talking about you being your best self. We watch all these coaches, we watch all these videos, we watch all these seminars. Hey, what's a better word to use? What's a better way to say this? But how often do you, the person watching this, work on your own self delivery of the message? How often do you work at being better at conveying or communicating the information? Do you work at it? Because you should. You need to practice. Every other sport we practice. We go out, we have multiple practices before we ever play the first game. You know, we used to have, back in my day, we had 2-a-days. And so we practice a ton before the big game. A lot of you and us, been there, done that, go into the big game with little to no practice. So what's the solution? The solution is to practice. The solution is to role play. Again, you can't go in there with a seller. You can't go in there with a cameraman following you around. You can't go into a showing. You can't do all these things, or many things. You know, I guess you could if you really wanted to. It'd just be awkward, right? So, but what you can do is once you're done with listing is come back, have a notepad, pen, and write down, and maybe have a checklist of things. Did I say this? Yes. Did I say this? Yes. Check, 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 check. Did I communicate this? And evaluate yourself on how you did on these 5 key categories. Did you exude confidence? Were you succinct and precise? Did you follow your order of events per se? For instance, I go into a listing presentation, I like to talk about 3 things. I like to talk about the market, I like to talk about what the seller gets and or what they are paying for with commission, and then I like to talk about price. Did I talk about those 3 things? So you have a checklist of the things that you want to talk about. And then you evaluate yourself on, was I articulate? Now, you can rate yourself on these things, but if you video yourself, you can also come back and then watch back the video and say to yourself, hey, you know what? I didn't do this very well. I could have been better at this. I could have said this better. I could have non-verbally communicated with more confidence. You know, even your hand gestures, obviously. Everything about you. And here's the deal. I'm confident you know what to do. I'm confident that if you watch yourself, that you'll get better. I encourage this with our agents all the time to role play. Have a friend be across the way. Go through your listing presentation. Watch it back. Buyer consultation. Pretend you're showing a house. Have them walk around. Even though you're on camera, it's better than nothing. Then give the would-be seller participant, per se, let's say it's a friend of yours, and give them a list of 20 questions and have them pick 7 or 8 questions out of there that they're going to ask you that you don't know they're going to ask you at the time, but you've seen the questions, and see how you respond. So the key is what I'm getting at, obviously, for the second time, is to practice. Video yourself and try to get better. Work at this. You're not going to go into a big game without practice. Don't go into a listing presentation where you could be taking home 10 to 20,000 in commission and just wing it. You've got to practice. You've got to role play. You've got to critically analyze yourself. And then last but not least, let somebody else watch the video. I'd be glad to watch the video. Not that I'm the all-knowing expert, but have somebody else that you trust watch the video. Maybe it's me, a colleague, a friend, a confidant, and say, hey, what do you think? What do you think I could do better? And that's how I think you're going to get better at this. Otherwise, if you have 10 listing presentations in time, you'll probably just get better and better. But I don't think that comes without evaluation. I don't think that comes without being without self-analysis, without being critical of yourself. Be positive. Also, you know what? Write down what you did well. Write down what you did well. Write down what you could do better. And you know what? I promise you will get better. Thanks for watching.